I'm big on Shadur Sanders' ability. Can say what we want off the field. But I was watching another sports show today, and they were gassing him up, saying, well, Skip Bayless saying, oh, Colorado's going to win the Big 12, go to the college football playoff. I'm looking at this schedule. And again, I think they're going to be better up front than they were last year. But I don't think people realize how bad they were last year on both sides of the ball up front. I mean, it was awful. It was below top group of 5 level. I think them just going 6-6, including that week 1 game against North Dakota State, that's an awful matchup for them schematically and philosophically. I mean, what do you put Colorado's chances of winning the Big 12 at?
There is a chance, but it's because the Big 12 is so packed at the top and everybody's kind of even. It doesn't feel like there's huge separation between the top teams and the middle teams. But that's about like a chance is all I would say. We need to see massive improvement on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And remember, they're switching to an offense that's going to require those linemen to block longer, going to require them to get a little push up front to get play action to work. They bring it, Pat Shurmur becomes the OC. Now, he was the OC at the end of last season, but they were just kind of working off what they'd been running under Sean Lewis. Yeah. That Sean Lewis offense is the veer and shoot, the old Art Briles Baylor offense. It's made for when you don't have good offensive linemen. This offense that they're going to run this year requires good offensive linemen, so they better hope that they're a lot better.
Yeah, and again, they did lose some guys, obviously, on the offensive line. They've brought in some guys, but you know this, Andy, better than anybody, and we talk about this all the time. It's not your starting 5 that gets you there. You have to have at least 7 and really 8 if you're going to make it through a high-level college football season. But staying in the Big 12, and Blaine, real quickly, I want you to go through Colorado's schedule. Right. Go ahead right now. Go ahead and go.
All right, week 1, we're going to start off with North Dakota State at home.
Yep.
Week 2 at Nebraska. Week 3 at Colorado State, and you have Baylor at home. You go to UCF, Kansas State at home, at Arizona, Cincinnati at home, at Texas Tech, Utah at home, at Kansas, and you finish the season at home versus Oklahoma State.
I mean, getting to 5, I think with that schedule, with what you have up front is going to be tough. But Andy, staying in the Big 12, what Kyle Whittingham did and what separated Utah was their physicality, right? That's how they were able to win the Pac-12 when you had all these, the great ornaments on the tree running around at other places. Do you see that translating early with Cam Rising coming back, the Dark Knight, with Brant Kuithe coming back? Again, we don't make our predictions at the end of fall camp, but right now it's hard for me not to pick Utah to win the Big 12.
I think Utah's got a really good shot, but they're not the only team that prizes physicality up front. Kansas State is the same
for sure.
Cut from the same cloth. Basically, they recruit different areas, but very similar in terms of they're gonna get guys who are maybe under recruited. They're gonna develop them, and they're gonna have really good old linemen by the time they hit the field. And so I think that's why those are probably your 2 favorites. Arizona, people love Noah Fafita and T-Mac, but Utah and K-State up front make you feel the best about what they can be. But Cam Rising, you mentioned Brant Kuithe, and I think people forget Brant Kuithe was ahead of Dalton Kincaid on the depth chart when he got hurt a couple of years ago. And Dalton Kincaid had to fill in, take on a bigger role when Brant Kuithe got hurt. Remember, he had like 75 catches against USC in the first meeting in 2022, and then obviously was awesome the rest of the way and became a first-round draft pick. But Brant Kuithe's really good. That tight end room's always going to be good. And Cam Rising, 2 years as a starter, won the Pac-12 twice. Yeah. Like, this is a big difference between this year's Utah and last year's Utah that kind of, went into the season pretty sure they weren't going to have Cam Rising, but it was still a little bit up in the air.
They tricked us for a while, Andy. They kept us hanging for a while.
Yeah, I think they had a pretty good idea before the season started, but probably didn't make that determination until right before the season started that, okay, we're not going to have him back. And so I think last year's Utah is a little bit of a mirage. They're not nearly as good as what you're going to see this year's Utah team be. And so, it is a very interesting stylistic matchup, Utah versus the rest of the Big 12. But remember, the Big 12 is not your older uncle's Big 12. It's not everybody running the air raid. Like now everybody runs the ball and they run that 3-3-5 Haycock defense that Iowa State runs. Like they've changed dramatically stylistically what this league is all about. And think about who you're trying to catch. You're trying to catch Kansas State, Oklahoma State, just mentioned Utah. These are teams that are going to pound you up front.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. And Avery Johnson at Kansas State, we'll see how well he can throw the ball. That's why I have Utah a little bit ahead of them. But no, yeah, Oklahoma State went through one of the biggest transitions offensively from one parallel to the other that we've seen in a while.
It's fun to watch Adrian Martinez, the former Kansas State quarterback, winning the championship for the Stallions.
Yeah, very true.
Recently.
Hey, YouTube, what's up? We are getting close to football season. I know it's kind of a drag right now. Love Major League Baseball. Really not a ton going on in the sports world, but stick with us because we're going to have it covered like a fat kid at a new bakery opening.